require teaching the Holocaust in our public schools. And it wasn't so much of just teaching the Holocaust, but teaching of what happens when man's inhumanity is allowed to fester over a period of time, and the result was the Holocaust and other genocides that have occurred before and after. And I think the reason that I believe it is important that this historical event is acknowledged and understood is what the survivors of the Holocaust use as their two-word phrase: never again. Never again. And I know the people that survived the Armenian Genocide, the families, and other situations since that time also believe never again. But yet we live in a world today that we continue to allow these things to exist. The more we can learn from our past, the more we can educate our children, our adults, our grandparents, the more we can learn from these experiences in our country and around the world, and we can be a beacon, along with other countries, of high moral values and understanding that this is unacceptable on so many levels, the better we will be and the better our children will be and future generations will be. And it's going to take vigilance to do that. I also understand the importance of the Turkish relationship with the United States and with our allies in the Middle East. And I can't speculate what is going to happen. I don't think any of us can do that. We've heard signals, we've heard expressions. I would only hope that we who recognize, and I think this entire Congress and most of the United States recognizes, that the Turkish country, the Turkish government of today, is a very important ally of the United States. They provide support for our military. They work with us in intelligence, and they're friends of our friends in the Middle East. We need to continue to have that relationship with them, and hopefully this will not provide any long-term disruption, hopefully not even any short-term, because they need us and we need them. And I stand ready to do what we need to do to make sure that Turkey understands that message. This is a historical situation that took place in a different time, in a different government. But there still needs to be a historical recognition and acknowledgement. My friends who came forward and asked me to support this Armenian population in my community said, this is not about reparations, this is not about restitution, this is about a historical acknowledgement. I take them at their words for that this is not going to open up some future discussion about that. But the point is, this is an important moment in time that we recognize what did happen. There was loss of life, there was terrible inhumanity, and for that reason, I will support this resolution today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I believe every colleague who wished to be heard had an opportunity to speak. Before calling for a vote, I wish to advise everyone that at the next markup, it is my intention to bring forth a resolution reaffirming the friendship and alliance between Turkey and the United States of America. And let me also say to all of my colleagues, this was one of the finest hours of the Foreign Affairs Committee, and I'm deeply proud of every single member of this committee. Chairman is prepared to receive a motion from the gentleman from California, Mr. Sherman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the favorable recommendation of H-Res 106 to the House.
The clerk will read the roll.
Chairman Lantos.
Aye.
Chairman Lantos votes yes. Mr. Berman.
Aye.
Mr. Berman votes yes. Mr. Ackerman.
Yes.
Mr. Ackerman votes yes. Mr. Fowler-Mavenga.
Yes.
Mr. Fowler-Mavenga votes yes. Mr. Payne.
Yes.
Mr. Payne votes yes. Mr. Sherman.
Yes.
Mr. Sherman votes yes. Mr. Wexler.
No.
Mr. Wexler votes no. Mr. Engel.
Yes.
Mr. Engel votes yes. Mr. Delahunt. Mr. Delahunt votes yes. Mr. Meeks. Ms. Watson.
Yes.
Ms. Watson votes yes. Mr. Smith of Washington.
No.
Mr. Smith of Washington votes no. Mr. Carnahan.
No.
Mr. Carnahan votes no. Mr. Tanner.
No.
Mr. Tanner votes no. Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Green votes yes. Ms. Woolsey. Ms. Woolsey votes yes. Ms. Jackson Lee. Ms. Jackson Lee votes yes. Mr. Hinojosa. Mr. Hinojosa votes no. Mr. Crowley.
Yes.
Mr. Crowley votes yes. Mr. Wu.
Yes.
Mr. Wu votes yes. Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller votes no. Ms. Sanchez.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez votes yes. Mr. Scott.
No.
Mr. Scott votes no. Mr. Costa.
Aye.
Mr. Costa votes yes. Mr. Sears. Mr. Sears votes yes. Ms. Giffords. Mr. Klein. Mr. Klein votes yes. Ms. Ross-Leitonen.
No.
Ms. Ross-Leitonen votes no. Mr. Smith of New Jersey. Mr. Smith of New Jersey votes yes. Mr. Burton. Mr. Burton votes no. Mr. Gallagly. Mr. Rohrabacher. Mr. Rohrabacher votes yes. Mr. Manzullo. Mr. Royce. Mr. Royce votes yes. Mr. Shabbat. Mr. Shabbat votes yes. Mr. Blunt. Mr. Blunt votes no. Mr. Tancredo. Mr. Tancredo votes no. Mr. Paul. Mr. Flake. Mr. Flake votes no. Mr. Pence. Mr. Pence votes no. Mr. Wilson. Mr. Bozeman. Mr. Bozeman votes no. Mr. Barrett. Mr. Barrett votes no. Mr. Mack. Mr. Mack votes no. Mr. Fortenberry. Mr. Fortenberry votes no. Mr. McCall. Mr. McCall votes yes. Mr. Poe. Mr. Poe votes no. Mr. Inglis. Mr. Inglis votes no. Mr. Fortunio. Mr. Fortunio votes no. Mr. Bilirakis. Mr. Bilirakis votes yes.
Have all members voted? Mr. Meeks.
You are not recorded. No. Mr. Meeks votes no.
21.
Mr. Manzullo.
Mr. Manzullo votes yes.
Are there any other members who wish to be recorded? If not, the clerk will report.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Gallagher. Mr. Gallagher wishes to be recorded.
Mr. Gallagher votes yes.
Clerk will report.
On this vote, there are 26 ayes and 21 nays.
The ayes have it. The resolution.
Mr. Chairman.
I will have to ask the audience to respect the dignity of this committee room, and I will give an opportunity to my colleague to cast a vote.
Mr. Chairman.
Aye.
Ms. Giffords votes yes. The new total is 27 ayes and 21 nays.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Burton.
Mr. Chairman, I request that members be allowed 2 additional calendar days to file additional dissenting or minority views.
Without objection, so ordered. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted, and this markup session is adjourned.